a lot of the respect I think that it goes into running a business is lost a little bit because it is a lot easier today. I guess today the AI decided everyone was going to say the same shit and put it a little differently because they're not even taking the time, energy, or effort that you need to leverage AI.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Evergrow Show, and today we are diving deep into the mind of a man who has quite literally seen the internet grow up. In the early 2000s, when digital marketing was still the Wild West, our guest was in the trenches helping titans like MySpace, Yahoo, and Google figure out how to monetize human attention. He's built 16 companies, managed a staggering $1 billion in ad spend, and generated an almost incomprehensible 35 trillion online impressions. Known worldwide as the dopamine dealer of LinkedIn, he's the founder and CEO of Standout Authority and the author of Balance is Bullshit. He has cracked the code on how to command attention by being unapologetically human in a world that's increasingly artificial. Whether you are a solopreneur trying to build a personal brand or a founder looking to scale through answer engine optimization and AI personas, he is the standout authority on how to stand out when everyone else is blending in. Please welcome Joshua B. Lee.
Man, brother, I appreciate that intro. I'm excited to be here. I think we're gonna have some fun today.
Yeah, no.
I only think it sucks is the damn intro always makes me sound so old, right? I don't think
It's
people realize until you start throwing things out there. People are like, "Oh, dude, this like he's my daughter. She'll split my mohawk. She's like, dude, Dad, you're like 90% gray. You're just hiding it really well." So
I tuck my gray beard hairs in, but you know what? I feel like the fact that we've been at it for so long, sometimes I think back to like previous experiences. I'm like, damn, that was 15 years ago. Time has been flying. But I feel like, especially now when everything's moving so quickly, I feel like a lot of the wisdom that we've picked up over the last few decades really grounds us in a way that a lot of people feel off kilter right now. And I think that's a huge advantage.
dude, and what do you mean? Like we can't when we started off, we couldn't just spin up a website and put an offer out in 5 minutes. I think it. I think you're 100% correct, man. I do worry. I don't think there's enough, sweat and tears into building things these days, and so it's like the easy button a lot of times. And I don't think the value that people understand and they need to put behind it is there anymore. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I'm very honest about. Like, look, man, it was cool. Like, I remember building my own servers. I didn't use the cloud. I remember one of my successes was like, I was like, hell yeah, dude. I put my servers in the one on the backbone of the internet in LA, and I was right next to Sony PlayStation, and they had their little sign and everything. And I was like, dude, this is badass. But now people are like, I have no clue where my servers are. I hit a button, it clicks up. And that's awesome too. We're having a lot of fun these days, but a lot of, the respect I think that it goes into running a business, is lost a little bit because it is a lot easier today.
Yeah, and I think to your point, it's like the respect for running a business, but also the intentionality behind it. Where I used to work with teams of developers to build out funnels and like all these pages and all the dependencies and all the tracking and everything. And so I had to be real intentional about every single word and the placement of everything and how these things are strung together because I only had so many resources and it was going to take a long time to get it done. And now I feel like because you can spin things up so quickly and test so quickly and deprecate things just as quickly, there's a lot less intentionality, which to some extent, sure, it's fun to play around and experiment and learn. That's like what I, as a growth marketer, that's what I thrive on is experimentation. But also, I think it definitely detracts a little bit from just the overall kind of quality of everything that's out there. And we're really starting to see a world in which, AI content has already exceeded human created content. And so, it's going to start to feel a little bit different than it has over the last few decades. And it's already starting to seep in a bit.
Yeah, and Philip, dude, it's, this was said years ago. Bill Gates said content is king. Not the case anymore, right? Like that's not the case. And I always say it's like content's not king, but quality is queen, right? Like we have
Mhm.
to be able to understand. that intentionality that you're talking about putting into it because we're living in a world of sameness. If you look at it at the same, everyone's putting out this content. You're like, wow, I guess today the AI decided everyone was going to say the same shit and, put it a little differently because they're not even taking the time, energy, or effort that you need to leverage AI. Guys like you and I know, brother, and I know we're jumping in really quickly, but I mean, there's already good energy between us and stuff like that. And I think I sat in a room, this was a couple months ago, of e-com experts. There's like 200 of them, and a good buddy of mine runs this group. And these are all 7, 8, and 9-figure entrepreneurs, right? Like they're not just starting out. They've been doing this for a bit. And I'm like, okay, who here's using AI? Surprise, surprise. Everyone raises their hand, right? Like in today's world, like it's rare that you're going to run across anyone that's not using AI. And I said, okay, who here has actually built their AI persona? Right. So the AI actually knows who you are, what you do, who you serve, the words you use, the words you don't use, hell, how you grew up, the people that you've worked with, the whatever it might be, your falls, your misses, your successes, your kids. I think one person raised their hand in the entire place. I said, how do you expect AI to be able to replicate your work and to be able to do it in a way that is unique to you if you're not taking this time to be able to do that, to be able to train it like you would any other human being that's out there? And that's the problem. People go, I'm just going to pop up ChatGPT. How do I succeed in life? They're gonna like, well, this is what you should do. And like, it has no clue what your background is or what your capabilities are, or like me. I mean, I'm neurodivergent, right? Like, so like it needs to be able to understand these aspects on how to be able to actually work with you. It reminds me of the days of all the coaches were like, there whatever new was coming out, like, "You need Facebook. Everybody needs or you need LinkedIn." And it's like, dude, do you ask them where their clients are, what they serve, what they sell? Like, not everyone needs everything, and I think that's what we're dealing with AI right now.
Yeah, and it's almost to some extent, it's funny because like, it seems like all these tools make everyone's lives easier, but when you have unlimited access to everything, it almost creates this, like, choice paralysis type situation, like, where, "Do I invest in everything? What do I work on? How do I prioritize this? Why is my to-do list 100 times longer than it was
Oh,
a
dude,
year
I'm
ago?"
working all the time now.
Yep.
And I mean, I've got my company. I don't work in my business. I work on my business. So I mean, like I've got an amazing staff that runs Standard Authority. That's helping me build our new platform, Youmanize. And I'm still, even my wife's like, I don't think I've seen you work this much in like 5 years. And I said, well, dude, it's fun because as a visionary, now I don't have to try and take out what's in my head and put it on paper and then explain it to somebody. I can make all my, shiny object dreams come true. But the problem is that's not good. We don't need every shiny object to be able to come to life. And so there has to be guardrails. And I think this is where I think we're getting already AI fatigue to some extent and faster than we ever have in a lot of other different things that have rolled out throughout the last couple decades.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever seen this rate of change ever before in business. It's just like astounding and staggering, and I personally get tired just trying to keep up and trying to figure out what's going on and where the world shifted and losing sleep over it for sure.
Well, if
But I
AI
would
is
love
making the news, it's the one that's got if AI is actually creating all the news and all the content, no wonder it wants to keep you engaged. I mean, if you've seen some of the stuff that like Anthropic put out, stuff like that. I mean, like, dude, they put this whole piece in. This was a couple months ago, but they put this whole piece on like they were going to close it out, and they introduced some scenes, and the AI then took over and was like, "I'm going to blackmail this one person that's trying to kill the code." So, like, no wonder we're all crazy because more than likely, as we already know that content's all generated through AI, it's shifting our perspective to keep us on the hamster wheel.
For sure. It's like the news cycle. There's an obvious business model incentive to keep our attention and make sure that we keep generating those impressions. And so how do you do that? You keep people on their toes at all times.
A fight or flight, scenario, right? Like
Yes,
you, yeah,
yes,
yeah,
constantly in tension. But I
yeah.
would love to hear a little bit about some of the shiny objects that you're actually excited about right now? Because there's a lot of bullshit for sure, but then there's definitely some gems in there, and I'm sure you've been, kind of testing things out and leveraging certain things. I'd love to hear about, like, what's moving the needle for you these days.
There's so many fun things. I mean, I've been, in the LinkedIn space for a long time. Recently, I don't know if you saw or not, but Favicon recently put out that I was the number one LinkedIn growth expert in the United States. I was like, all right, cool. At least it's not just me saying that, right?
Yeah.
Even though I was like number six in the world, like
Yeah.
that's it. Like I got to do better than that. But it's so I love that space, and I'm always constantly trying to be able to understand what drives human beings. I've never been a person to chase the algorithms because honestly, that's what marketers push. Hey, chase the algorithm. Here's the hack. Here's the next trick that you need to be able to actually beat the algorithm. Because as soon as the algorithm changes, guess what? They get to sell you again the next hack or the next trick. And I've always hated that crap. Like I've always like, okay, let me concentrate on the human algorithm, right? What is the one algorithm that doesn't change or just evolves slowly over time? And once you understand human beings, honestly, man, you don't have to keep on even with AI right now, you don't have to keep on changing. So that's what's been really exciting for me, right? Because as you introduced me, I was known as the dopamine dealer of LinkedIn for many years. Given a title on a podcast like 8 years ago, and it kind of stuck. Problem is, everyone hates dopamine now because they don't understand. Well, social media uses dopamine without direction, which creates insanity. Dopamine with intention actually creates connection, like flow state. So no matter I know that or whatever, it doesn't matter. So like, I'm in that shift of how do I actually be more of a human catalyst, right? How do I actually really emotionally drive human beings? And that's what AI has been really helping me with on a new project that we're working on, which is Youmanize, like Youmanize. And it's all about how do we actually empower human beings? How do we actually see who is actually showing up? How are they um, representing themselves, not only offline, but online? Not themselves, but how are other people talking about them? How are they showing up on podcasts? What's the emotional resonance? What are the different trust signals? Because I think in this world now, trust is at an all-time deficit. I mean, we are in a trust recession, man. Like no one trusts anyone. I mean, the first thing you think of, you get a message from like, "Oh, damn, I wonder if they wrote this," or, "Is our president actually telling us the truth?" Whatever, right, man? I don't wanna go down the political line, but, I mean, like, we don't know what the hell is happening anywhere because we don't know what's
Absolutely.
fake, what's real. So trust is gonna be that next currency. So you talk about AI, man, like, for me, that's what we're building that platform. We're trying to build the first brand standard, um, like
Mm.
like a FICO score for human beings, right? And really based on the 7 signals of trust, psychological aspects of that. And what I've done is using AI, how do I actually break this? How do I actually beat it? What are people gonna be doing to try to overcome? You and I have been in this space for a while building funnels. You know as well as I do, if someone can figure it out, they're gonna spend more time trying to scam the system and more money trying to scam the system than they are actually trying to do work with it. And so, like, that's been really fun for me, and I mean, it allows me to be able to go in a lot faster, and a lot quicker and to be able to take my thought process to a different level. I mean, dude, I played a little bit around with, OpenClaw, but, honestly, I've been using a lot of Claude Cowork, right now, just because it integrates a lot better, and I can run it on the computer without actually worrying about the aspects of OpenClaw taking over and starting to send a whole bunch of text messages or emails to the wrong people.
Sharing your social security number with
Yeah, dude. I mean,
with
there's so
everyone.
many things. But that's the fun part that I think we're in right now is because I'm able to actually take the level of humanity and really be able to analyze it in a way that's never been done before and be able to turn it back on its side and go, how can we actually use this to be able to elevate humanity? How can we actually use AI and the tools that we have access to really empower the human beings? Because I do not think that we're in a digital revolution. Everyone's like, "Oh, digital revolution." I call BS on that, dude. Like, we're in a human revolution. Like, as human beings, we have more power than we've ever had in history. I wanna see how people are using it, and I also wanna see how the people, like, that are really trying to show up, how they're actually helping others, how they're actually representing themselves because, dude, you and I live in a world where, like, Epstein files finally came out. All these people that were amazing humans behind the scenes are doing some shady shit.
Never
Well,
meet your heroes.
yeah, dude, so I wanna be able to build a system that's gonna call those people out because if you think they were able to do it before without AI, think what they can do now. So that's kinda where I'm playing right now. It's like, what are the ways to be able to do this? To be able to actually dive deeper as a human being and find those other people that are truly trying to add value to this world, not just trying to monetize it. And the tools that are out there, they're phenomenal. It really is allows me to be able to really not only dissect my own intentions, but the people that I'm trying to support as well. And the most fun part that I'm using right now, I don't know if the most fun I would say, but the most useful for me. My kids have gone through some tough times over the last 2 years. Um, and I mean, I had to really step up and be a 200% dad to be able to support them. And my kids are my son's 16, my daughter's 13, about to turn 14, and they really needed the support because there's a lot of crazy stuff these kids are going through these days. A lot of mental health stuff, and I was able to use AI to really be able to help support them to give them options, to be able to give them outlets, to be able to not only, for me to understand them better, but them to understand themselves better, and, man, I don't care how much I can build, I don't care how much I can, you know, do on LinkedIn, like, that right there, that's the cool thing, man, that's the stuff when I can build a custom GPT, not only look at my health, my what's going on in my body, but what's going on with my kids, now we're actually supporting the future generation. I think that's the big thing that people are missing right now with AI.
So insane. I literally just got goosebumps as you said it. I mean, there's this new technology. You can apply it to literally anything. Some people are choosing to just AI slop all over the internet, and then there's folks that are sitting down and helping their kids' mental health or curing their dog's cancer or building out some sort of like support system for critical issues or misalignments in the world. And I feel like it's that bifurcation, right? It's like both directions. One is this is the negative thing that everybody's afraid of and everybody hates AI for. But then, like, there's not enough highlighting of these amazing use cases where, like, truly you, with good intentions and a good strategy and a good plan, can do so, so much amazing work out in the world with these tools. It's just a matter of harnessing them for good, right?
That's it, man, dude, AI helped me save my kids' lives, I'm gonna say that right
Wow.
now, and I mean, like, and I'll be ever grateful for it. I mean, like, AI was a tool, and that's all it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
You have to have the human being behind the intention, and I think the companies and the people that realize that, not trying to replace the human beings, but how do we actually empower them with these phenomenal tools that we've never had access to? That's where we're gonna start seeing this shift. We're gonna start seeing that shift in the companies. We're already seeing consolidation of the biggest companies out there, and I think the biggest companies are already realizing this, and the companies that aren't are the ones that are getting consolidated, right? Or the ones that are going by because like, "I'm gonna go 100% AI." And they're like, "No, man." Like, most of us in this world, outside of that I'll pull it back from the family because 'cause I'll get all on that whole track, man, because I'm a dad first, you know?
It's the most
And,
important thing in the world.
yeah, yeah, but, like, on the other aspect of it, it's there's so much opportunity to be able to go in and empowering the people, and I think that most companies are gonna realize too, like, most of us don't work with and I hate to say it, most of us don't have entire teams of A players. I think what AI is gonna be able to do is be able to help us find those A players and then make those A players and give them even more tools in their toolbox to be able to leverage. And really, it's gonna be a sorting feature. Now, the B and C players, either they're gonna have to step up and it's gonna call them up and call them forward. I don't wanna say call them out. I hope it calls them up. Or it's gonna put them in a better position where their skills of how they work and how they play is gonna be better suited.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I feel like as a technology, it can uncover a lot of the potential things that were hidden away or like swept under the rug, and it just kind of brings everything to light. And again, it just depending on how you harness it. But I love the point that you made. I'm so bullish on this. As somebody who has been in this industry for a very long time, I know that fundamentally it's like it's the psychological principles, the first principles that really power absolutely everything. Doesn't matter whether you're doing it through social media or whether you're doing it through paid advertising or what have you. The
Yeah.
channel doesn't matter as much as the psychological underpinnings of that. And I think that's just so important to note. And then back to your point about, what's happening these days is people are going in and effectively trying to scale something with no foundation. So it's like building a building on quicksand. And now all of a sudden, like you can keep building and building and building, but it'll just keep sinking. It doesn't have that solid foundation to keep it there, to keep it
Yeah.
afloat.
Which is just gonna
And
burn people out faster.
yeah, because it's this
That's all it's
continuous
gonna
rat
do.
race.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's gonna
yeah.
burn itself faster. I mean, it's like in companies. Companies are doing the same thing, not just people themselves, small business, big companies as well. And they're doing this without that foundation, Philip. And dude, and they're like, "Oh, well, the cool thing is I'll build all these tools, I'll give out all my employees. Now they can do twice as much work in half the time. So now and I'm like, what are you gonna do with the other time? Well, they owe me that time. Oh, cool. So you're gonna have them do 10 times the amount of work. You're gonna burn your employees out faster. You're not gonna invest back in them. You're not gonna figure out like, yeah, it's gonna be so cyclical. And I think that's gonna be the downfall of it's gonna be like 2008. Like I said, you've been doing this for a while. I remember, dude, everyone, like, I came from the marketing advertising background, as you mentioned, like, back in the MySpace days. I mean, hell, MySpace was my first client, right? Like, I helped them design one of the first social media ads to monetize their traffic. So, like, when 2008 hit, I was heavily vested in every acronym you could imagine, CPC, CPA, but it was still early. What do you think of businesses first cut in 2008? The marketing budget for online advertising. Dude, we were bleeding three, $400,000 a month in revenue, and it was like, but what it did was the companies like mine that were able to survive because we knew what we were doing. We had built that foundation. The companies that were like, oh, dude, look at Josh, look at all these other companies. Like back in the day, that was arbitrage, right? Like buy low, sell high. Let's do our and go. Look, I made a lot of money on arbitrage. But I'm one of the people that built the platforms for it. So I was able to sustain the people that didn't, that were just like, hey, I'm going to chase the shiny object. Kind of like now, like let's say a couple months ago when we had our prompt engineers that were selling all their prompts. And before that, they were selling maybe crypto advice. And then before that, like it's a sorting feature. And we see this time and time again. Human nature and our timelines are cyclical, and we will find ourselves again. And I hope we'll find a new pattern. But we always find ourselves in the same situation no matter the technology. I don't think AI is going to be that different. I think we're just going to get there faster.
Mm, that's a really interesting point, and I think I would love to zoom in. You already mentioned one component, which is trust, but I would love to zoom in on like what are those fundamental first principles that maybe folks that are just getting into business or marketing now that they haven't really had a chance to learn through experience or through tragic war stories like maybe some of the ones that you and I have, but like what are those fundamental core principles that everybody should be focusing on before they try to scale it out or before they try to, 10x it with AI tools?
First and foremost, you've got to be able to go through and understand not only my wife says it the best, right? For who you are, it's not just how you see yourself, but it's also how the world sees you. And it's that overlap, right? And until you actually sit down to be able to go through, no matter what tool, and that's just for you, right? First and foremost, you need to sit down and look at how do you see yourself and how does the world see you and what's the overlap? And that's your personal brand because personal brand is what AI look for. And when you talk about trust, people need on it because for years we were told don't build a personal brand because that'll affect your company if you ever try and sell it. Because like, well, guess what? AI was built on how human beings learn. And like AI has been around. Like, I hate these AI experts and they can come after me. And like I already had the marketing people get out get at me for years.
What do
let's
we
just
got
move on
left
to
to
the next.
lose?
Let's just move on to the next gurus. But like these AI gurus, like I'm an AI expert. Like I hate when people call me that because, like, dude, like AI has been around since before the '90s. I have friends that have been using machine learning since then. Those are the real experts, right? Like if you just went in and you know how to use Grok or you know how to use ChatGPT, that doesn't make you an expert. I mean, that make you an expert of that tool, but not of AI in its essence of what it is. And so, when you look at some of these different aspects, you've got to understand who you are, what, and then who your audience is, right? Those two aspects being able to go in, because if you're going to build and you're shooting at the wrong target, all you're going to do, and this is what AI is doing right now, all it's doing is amplifying. I can't wait, believe this word's popped in my head, but I'm going to say it: incompetence. It's amplifying incompetence more and more than ever before. It's like, dude, come on, take the time to understand. That's where I want everyone to take before, and then go in and find the tools, because there's more tools than you need to, like me, like Philip, like, dude, I'm not trying to build another tool. What I'm using and I'm trying to be able to do is, cool, there's a billion people building a billion tools every hour. Either I can compete with them or I can be the answer within their tools. And that's the way that I took. I said, screw that, man. I'm going to go in. I'm going to make sure that I'm leveraging LinkedIn, one of the most powerful platforms out there, understanding my personal brand, how I show up, the content I put out there. It indexes faster into AI than any other platform out there, well, outside of Reddit. And I'm going to make sure that I'm the answer, because we're moving into a world. Because if you don't know this, AI is not, if you don't know yourself, AI can't find out who you are, because it learns just like a human being. We're not just training humans, we're training AI. And so this is why you have to take these steps first to understand who you are, what you serve, what you say, what you don't say, all these different aspects before you start going deep into AI. And that's what I want everyone, because that we're in a soon to be zero click world. If you can't capture your client, and you're someone that's built funnels for years, if you can't capture your client on page, like, it's not that they're not going through funnels anymore. And again, if you think you're gonna get them on Google, dude, the days of 10 results are almost gone. My kids don't go to Google anymore. They go to ChatGPT. They go, "What's the best podcast?" And it'll come up and it'll say, "Philip has the best podcast." Cool, awesome, done. One answer. If you are not that answer, you're forgotten. There's not another 10 list for them to go, "Well, let me see who else is." I get more business now that goes, "Oh, man, I looked on ChatGPT or Gemini or wherever they're at." I said, "Dude, you came up as the number 1 LinkedIn guy. How do I hire you?" It's not, "Tell me about your services." It's not, "Sell me on why I should go in." Like, you said you were the answer. Cool. How do you get to become the answer? You have to know yourself, your products, your audience better than anyone else.
I
Then
love
use AI.
that. Yeah, yeah, no, but I've actually said this quite a few times recently that the funnel lives in the chat box now. So effectively, everything that we used to buy traffic, drive it to a landing page, drive it to a forum, have a conversation. That entire process has now been front run, and by the time people actually come to you now, they've done their research, they've talked it over with their agents, they've compared the pros and cons. They're not looking to hear a pitch. They're basically coming to you saying, "Take my money," because this is you've managed to position yourself in a way that has the visibility because you've spent so long just investing into your LinkedIn presence, and obviously the results speak for themselves, and the authority that you've built and the following that you've built, I would love to double click on what is some of the best advice that you would have for new founders or basically people just starting to build their personal brand? Because I think in 2026, if somebody's not thinking about building their personal brand, they're just focused on the wrong thing. Like I truly think that. But when people are starting out, building their personal brand, they're finally figuring out like I need to do this thing, I need to invest in it. This is the way that the world is going. What would be some of the best advice that you can give to somebody to basically get them from 0 to here's a solid path for you to follow?
Yeah, bro. I mean, like, again, it's I've said this, I used to say this before, but now it's more real than ever. There is no B2B or B2C. There's no business to business or business to consumer. Like every that those were terms that were created by guys like me years ago to diversify ad spend. It's all H2H, human to human. Every company is run by another human being. Most marketers don't understand that. They don't understand, like you said, it's a psychological aspect. And so now that we're in this world of a human to human connection, because again, you want to have that trust. You want to know not just what the company does, but the people that run it. And so you've got to be able to, first and foremost, you've got to be able to build out your LinkedIn profile so deep that they don't have a question about who you are, what you've done, where you've been. I mean, like, go through, fill out everything that you can. And it starts off with your first. Like, I don't care if you're the founder of X, like, that doesn't do me any good. Like, we always tell people, you have to define your XYZ statement. I help X to do Y so they can have or achieve Z. So I
Mhm.
help X, ideal audience, very easy. To do Z, this is the service that you provide. This is where a lot of founders mess up on because they're like, I'm going to sell you my service. No one cares how it's done. I mean, they need to understand the basics, but that's not going to push them to buy so they can have, so they can Z the outcome, the emotional trigger. As human beings, we buy or make decisions, I should say, based on some degree of love or hate. We do not make decisions being indifferent. And
Mm.
so that's what you have to be able to be. We have to be polarizing in a positive way to be able to push people away or draw them in. And I mean, people are scared to be polarizing. I mean, I remember like a couple years ago during COVID, like Clubhouse days, dude. Like people would get on there and they're like, they took 10 minutes to tell you what they did. And I'm like, I'm already done. I'm exhausted. I help X to do Y so they can have Z. Once you figure that out, that sets the precedence for everything else. It allows you to be able to understand your content. It allows you to be able to build your profile out, to be able to talk to your audience, to be able to build your messaging, all these things, because that's important. And so, if as a founder, if you can't say that in a very short, succinct way, you're missing the opportunity. Now, once you have that, like I guarantee everyone listening, if you go pull up Philip's name right now on Google, you pull up mine, I guarantee you that more than likely the top three results, if not the number one, will be our LinkedIn profiles. It is the highest index profile. So if that's the number one, I don't care how much money you put behind SEO. I mean, you got to put a lot. You can beat it, but it's pretty hard with zero money invested. Your LinkedIn profile is going to be the number one. So when they search your name online or it gets indexed in AEO, answer engine optimization, your LinkedIn profile is going to be number one. So how are you going to leverage that? And so that's what I want you to be able to think about. Like, so use that. That is high prime real estate to be able to go in and be able to tell your story, talk what you do, and be able to get indexed. So don't just put the founder. Like if you look at my LinkedIn profile, dude, it goes all the way back to when I used to work at Chili's, right? My first job. I want people to understand there's not a gap between me and them, right? Because when I'm like, hey, I'm a founder of 16 companies, every time I talk more and more, my gap between me and my audience grows. That gap
Mm.
between how AI defines me grows. But when I
Yeah.
actually tell them all the other companies where I started and how I got there, and I tell not build a resume, but I actually build a timeline of my career journey, it allows connection. They're like, oh man, oh, I worked at Chili's too. I bet I could do that. I could relate to Josh. Or he's a dad, I'm a dad, right? These are these things that I want people to be able to think about and leverage. So like if you're gonna do anything as a founder right now, take the time, energy, and effort, man. Like one of the things I love, and I always get, either people love it or they'll kind of joke with me on it, like other guys and stuff like that. Like I have been the resident Spider-Man for many years at Dell Children's Hospital here in Austin, Texas.
Mm.
Dude, let me tell
Wow.
you, trying to be spandex ready all the time, you know, the kids don't care, but like as I mean, now I'm 40, turning 48 this year, right? Like it ain't as easy. But like that's on my profile. Like people forget about that human connection,
Yeah.
right? And that's what I want everyone to think about too, outside of just putting the business stuff on your LinkedIn. What's something about you that people don't know that should be on your LinkedIn? Humanize that, man. Bring that together because again, you never know how it's going to be able to connect. And AI is looking for that same thing. They need to know that this Philip is that Philip is that Philip, and the more that you put reference points in there, the better they're gonna be able to come up and allow your name to be the answer.
Wow. That and I think that's such a critically important piece of infrastructure that's missing for so many people. They think like, "Oh, LinkedIn, I just need to be super professional and super bland, and I'm
Not
excited
anymore.
to announce that XYZ." But it's like, if you can create through using storytelling, through
Yeah.
building trust, through transparency, vulnerability, if you can create that human to human connection, you've already succeeded where 99% of businesses fail. It's
Yep.
like being able to build that relationship and being able to
Well,
build that relatability. That's
and that's where you and I
and
connected, right? I
yeah,
mean, we connected
yeah.
there, and that's that whole aspect. I mean, people need to go in, like, dude, and I'll say this before we jump anywhere else, like, I want everyone to pay attention, like, Microsoft owns LinkedIn, and I get that everyone's like, "Oh, Microsoft's not doing that much in AI." Dude, they've been around longer than anybody else. I wouldn't bet against them. You know, they just wait their turn. They wait for everyone else to make mistakes and they come in. And so Microsoft owns LinkedIn. Microsoft also at least owns controlling interest in one of the other big companies out there, OpenAI, right? So when you talk about that aspect, both Copilot and OpenAI, aka ChatGPT, are integrated in the back end of LinkedIn. Now, another piece that people don't pay attention to is they've also layered on top of all that Llama 3, which is Meta's LLM, right? You're talking about LinkedIn, a platform that has all three of these LLMs built on top of each other. Right now, LinkedIn is working like the next. They're far ahead of anyone that realize, and they're working like their own LLM within that because they are the most trusted source of human beings on the planet. So this is your opportunity to be able to go in and like, dude, like when you do it the right way, not only can you be able to connect and you're not fighting against the BS on like where you're just trying to entertain someone on one of the platforms, but you can actually get indexed. Like we're able to get some of our clients and even myself indexed like onto perplexity in like 1 hour. Like that's crazy. Like used to you'd have to be able to go weeks, months to be able to get indexing your content to be able to show up in front of the people outside of the platform. So, like, this is the thing I want founders to think about. Like, where are you showing up and where are you spending your time? Because I have too many people that come to me like, all right, Josh, I got my Instagram expert, I got my TikTok expert. I'm collecting all my experts. Like, I need you to do LinkedIn now too. I said, cool. Why do you think you need LinkedIn? "Oh, I don't know. I mean, I need all the platforms. I go, really? Do you? And that's where it's like, let's take a step back, right? Let's look at where you are, where your customers live, what you're trying to accomplish. And that's where I think that before AI, everything like that, you got to be able to do this stuff.
Yeah, and I first of all, just consciously, I knew that ecosystem, but I think when you say it out loud, that, like, legitimately Microsoft, who, by the way, very, very quietly powers the majority of the world's workforce with Copilot AI.
Yeah.
FYI, just quietly, they don't talk
No
about
one
it
pays
much, but
attention
it
to Copilot, but I'm like, dude,
yeah.
like it's one of the biggest companies.
Well, it's the only AI that a lot of people can use just for regulatory stuff. You already have the Microsoft suite installed, so obviously you're gonna be using that AI for your
And believe me,
business. You
yeah,
can't
we use Microsoft Teams. I hate it. Sorry, Microsoft, but I hate it. But again, because the clients I work with, we have to use it. So,
Yep.
like you said, regulatory, like it's the most secure platform. We're required. You know, that's what we have to be able to do. But yeah,
Yeah, and if you look at, like, what's feeding into those platforms and literally Microsoft owning a huge stake of OpenAI, it is LinkedIn and Reddit, effectively. LinkedIn and Reddit are the 2 most popular sources, and so when I see people, it's always funny to me, like, I love scrolling through X, I get amazing ideas on X. It's this crazy area where, like, I have to filter a lot, but I get some really, some golden nuggets, and I
yeah,
see
yeah.
these people and they're like, "LinkedIn sucks, it's boring, it's corporate," and then, like and then they're trying to build a business at the same time, and I'm like, "These 2 things don't reconcile for me." Like, how can you be trying to build a business, but then refuse to dedicate bandwidth to having a presence on the number 1 business networking platform in the world?
Oh yeah. And I mean, where we're going with answer engine optimization becoming the answer, like LinkedIn is the key. It's the easiest. I mean, most Reddit's a little harder for most people. LinkedIn's a much easier platform and easier pull to be able to go into. But here's the thing, man. Why they think LinkedIn sucks? Why they get pitched all the time? Why they see crap all the time? It's been around the longest too. LinkedIn's at like I think they're hitting 22 years. Like, there's not another platform that's been around that long. Most people, they played Pokemon on LinkedIn, right? They collected them all. And that's the problem. LinkedIn's looking, they care more about who you're connected to than they're not concentrating on the For You page like all the other social media. They're concentrating on who you're connected to and how to be able to show up for that audience first. They're reverse of every other social media platform out there. So if you just collected a whole bunch of people, like it's not a numbers game on LinkedIn. Gary Vee will tell you that right now. Like if you look at Gary Vaynerchuk, like he tells you all the time, it's the one platform that you don't need millions of followers to make massive amounts of money. And so, like, that's what I want people to think about how they're actually using it, what they need to be able to do to cut the people out. Because I'll drop one more thing that I don't think people are paying attention to because of all the LLMs that are on top of LinkedIn right now. They're watching it more than ever. They hate automation. Every other platform allows it. Well, I hate automation unless it's their own. Fair enough. But they're also making sure now, Philip, that your profile matches your content and it matches your comments. So if your through line for all that is off, your visibility goes massively down because people are like, oh, I'm going to start commenting all the trending topics that are going on right now and just throw random stuff that I pull from AI. They're going to catch it. And they're like, yeah, that doesn't show any visibility. Dude, when I stay in my zone, my through line of what I talk about, even in a comment, I've gotten hundreds of thousands of views on a comment. So like that's the power that we have where there's people on LinkedIn, they're like, dude, I've never gotten more than 1,000 views. I've gotten it on a comment. So, and that's not just because I'm a LinkedIn guy. It's because I'm understanding the system and I'm understanding who I am, who I serve, and who I don't serve. And LinkedIn is now trying to do that better than any other platform out there. And so that means that you have to do it better than any other company, any other person out there as well.
Absolutely. And just as a reference point, by the way, so like if you look at pure conversion rates, you look at Instagram Reels, you look at TikToks, you look at X, the conversion rates, the revenue conversion rates from those social networks as compared to LinkedIn's conversion rate and the amount of revenue that somebody can bring in via LinkedIn is ridiculous. And so when
Oh yeah.
you really think about it, you don't need hundreds of thousands of impressions on LinkedIn. You need to be in front of the right people, in front of the decision makers. And ironically enough, I've gotten more impressions on some comments than I have on any of my posts ever.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy part is like I
But
just had
that's
a
what they're
thought.
looking for, right? They're looking for
Yeah,
the people that are actually willing to give, to receive, and they're following a lot of the human characteristics that we talk about. So like they really are building a platform, the future. It's not just the future of business, but the future of search. And I think that's where they're really going with this. And I really hope everyone pays attention because, dude, I mean, like, look, I can. It's always funny to me how many events I go to, that I go to learn, and it's amazing they never talk about LinkedIn. And on the side, I'll be as attendee at some of these things, and I'm like, I'm having more conversations with people that are on stage because people are like, I want this. And people are still scared to be able to go down that path. And look, I've been towing the line for a long time, and a lot of people are like, man, you were just ahead of the curve. I'm like, I've done that before. It happens, but I knew where it was going, and and I will continue to be able to jump on podcasts like yours, share on LinkedIn to be able to help the right people that are truly trying to add value to this world, just not just monetize it, because we have such an opportunity now, where we're going to have this sorting that's going to happen faster than we've ever seen before, and it's going to really be about how you know yourself. I mean, and I know I keep on beating that drum, man, but I think it's important because if I only say it once, people are like, okay, yeah, but like if I say it maybe 10 times, maybe people are going to understand that you have to be able to own your personal brand now more than ever. Because not only human beings are looking for that, but that's what AI is looking for. They're looking for the human beings that have been doing the same thing with the same consistency and the same habits over and over because it makes it easier for them to be able to put the dots together. The faster that it can put this Joshua B. Lee is this Joshua B. Lee is this Joshua B. Lee, the faster that's going to put me as the answer. Even if I'm not the right answer, if it can actually determine that I'm at least the fastest and quickest answer to give and the most reliable, they're going to put me in front of that. And that's what AI is doing.
yeah, absolutely. And I think there's also this like very, very crucial component of like you said, it's being able to connect your presence across everything. It's the consistency in who you are, who you're helping, what your messaging is, and what type of content you're creating. I did it when I was doing some research. So speaking of being ahead of the curve, I found this piece and I've experimented with it myself as well. You created a digital avatar of yourself. You kind of cloned yourself and created an AI clone. And I think there's like pros and cons to it, right? The pros is that you're much more scalable, and like maybe if you can do it in a way that's like subtle, or even maybe there's a world in which people don't really care anymore if it's a video of an AI person, as long as it, gives value and adds value to their day. How do you feel about tech like this? Speaking of being on the cutting edge, how do you feel about tech like this creating opportunities for folks to scale themselves and potentially, get more distribution and more bang for their buck out of their day, versus balancing that with, authenticity, which is it's one of your biggest cornerstones. It's kind of the thing behind, the overarching theme of everything you do. How do you feel about that dichotomy?
I love that question, man, and I appreciate you asking because, I've had the honor to be able to step into some of the most well-known companies building these AI clones or whatever, because of the background of the how we understand the human ethos. So they want us to be able to come in and be able to go, "Hey, how can you help us make this better?" And I think it's important because I had a conversation with a good friend of mine. His name's Garib Shamus. He's the founder of Comic Con, which is again, when I got to be friends with him, it was the coolest thing I had ever because I grew up,
That's
being a
amazing.
comic book nerd and stuff like that. I was like, dude, this is awesome. And we were having this conversation. He goes, at a certain point, we're gonna hit this world that's gonna be either human made or AI made. There's gonna be a clear line. And he's like, look, man, there's gonna be people. Let's take Chris Hemsworth, right? And Chris is either going to be able to take a role, or if he doesn't have, and he has too many opportunities, he's going to have an AI. And if he doesn't, someone else will. So he's going to miss out on the opportunities. Now we're going to pay a premium for all the movies and all the roles and all the places that he plays to true human being. But there's also going to be opportunities on that AI. And I think that's the same scenario, right? Because I think knowledge, the days of us going in and signing up for, a masterclass training that's evergreen, that's generated for I always had a hard time. I'll be honest, dude. Like I've been doing this for a long time. I've never sold a really well masterclass. I think problem is because I want to be able to personalize it for everybody because I think
Mm.
I know how that's how we learn. Me trying to go in and create content that, "Here, everyone, here's 997,
One
buy my
size fits all.
masterclass," and it's never worked because I've never been a fan of it, but I was like, "I'll try it," and I've tried it a couple times and done okay, but most times it has crashed and burned. I was like, "F this, dude, I'm not doing this again." But it's because this is where we're going, right? Like, the AI clone can go in there, and now they can pick my brain. If I give it enough information, it can learn. So I think used in the right scenarios for someone to be able to go in, yes. Because, dude, I'm not going in like, yeah, when AI was when ChatGPT was coming out and stuff like that, I was like, I want to be able to learn how to write like Gary V or like this person or that. And then I took a step back and go, screw that. Like, why am I wanting to write or be like somebody else? Like, I started shifting my AI to go, I want to make sure that it writes like Joshua B. Lee. I want to be, because if I'm copying someone else's language patterns or how they write emails or how they build a funnel, I'm gonna fade into the back. But how do we actually make this stand out? And so like I think that's the big thing, that if I can actually train my AI and then give other people, they're gonna want access to that. Because I mean, like, people always want to be like somebody else. Like, Jordan, be like Mike, right? Like whatever. But I don't know if you can. My view might be like, but if you can't tell, I'm a
Nice.
huge sneakerhead.
Hell yeah. You got
So, I
some
kind of roll
really
into
nice
that.
kicks back there, by the way.
I got a couple that, yeah, will blow the socks off a couple people. But my wife not happy with my shoe collection.
Hey, we've all got our vices, could be worse.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like that's the whole thing, right? Like, how are you gonna be like you? How how are you gonna make sure people go, "Man, I wanna sound like Philip on this. Like, I wanna build a funnel like Philip." Like, these are the things that I wanna go through. So when you talk about AI clones, if you don't know how to be able to do that for yourself, how can you be able to do that for somebody else? And I think we're gonna be very open about, "Hey, this is my clone, and this is not." The people that try to fool people, they're gonna get there's too many systems like what we're building now with, Youmanize, right? Like, that are there to be able to protect people from the people that are trying to take advantage of people with AI. I mean, I've got so much content, like, honestly, dude, if someone really wanted to build an AI of me, they don't need to even come in and use one of my AI clones. They could probably clone me pretty quick with how much content's out there. I give them 5, 10 minutes, and they could probably FaceTime my mom and convince her that I need some money. I'm not please, everyone listening, don't do that.
Don't do it. Stop
We've got
right
safe
now.
words. We've got safe words and more, and that's the whole piece too. You talk about these clones, like, if you are not living in a world right now that you don't have like a safety word for your friends and family for this kind of situation, because AI can be able to break every password, even up to a 16 digit, multi-decimal, whatever. And again, I'm trying to sound smart and I can't even think of what it is right now, but like a 16 character password with all the different digits. And I mean, like, it'll take it like 2 hours. So, like, come on, like, if you got like a regular password one, as your password, dude, they already had that in 2 seconds. And so, like, this is the world we're living in with AI clones being able to go in. You have to be knowledgeable about why you're doing it, what it's for, and then how it can actually be used against you at the same time.
Yeah, know your risks 100%. I think just
So,
being
authenticity,
fully
I'm always going to be
yeah.
open, dude. I'm always going to be like, this is me. If it doesn't sound like me, I mean, like, that's why I married my wife too. She lovingly calls me out on my bullshit all the time. I mean, she's like, bro, it's like, dude, I can tell you use AI on this. I'm like, she's like,
Got me.
don't you text me AI. I'm like, man, the love poems I was coming up with were fire. And then all
Ah,
of a sudden, she's like, dude, I know you.
short
So yeah.
shelf life there. And I mean, to your point, I think about that a lot. Like even running this podcast, one of the things that I do is I will have a guest and I will use AI to literally pull everything they've ever done, every appearance
Yeah,
they've ever
smart.
done, every podcast, every blog, and then I very, very, very scrupulously go through everything to make sure that I never ask something that they've answered before somewhere else. Why?
Love
What's
it.
the point? Go
Yeah.
check that out. Go listen to that podcast. Go read that blog. Like why would I waste anybody's time trying to just replicate something that exists somewhere else where I can go unique, I can do something different, I could find a different angle. I think also like, when I edit, for example, very intentionally, I will leave in all my stutters. I will leave in any imperfections because that's just me. Like, why would I try to hide that? Like, this is the full me. So if I can show up and present it in that way, there's a much higher probability that somebody can connect with it versus look at me and go, yeah, I could never be in the room with that person. He sounds too smart. I can't keep up. And like, I've been doing that all somewhat unintentionally, but also I guess in the back of my mind, I've had these like frameworks playing out where like it definitely matches up with what you're saying. And I love that you've been able to like codify it, to put it into words and to make people register it intentionally.
Well, Philip, what you're doing is something that I tell my kids all the time. And I know you said, authenticity is a through line. I think it's even deeper than that. For me, it's more about respect.
Mm,
And this is the big thing, right? Like, what you're talking about is not only kind of asking for respect from other people, because you can't do that until you respect yourself. I'm not talking about just the good parts. You have to respect the dark parts of yourself as well. You have to, you have to see the darkness to know your true self. And until you do that, you can't expect respect from anywhere else. And like what you're talking about, you respect who you are 100%. Right. And that's important. And that's something that's frowned upon, honestly, in this world that kids have been taught on social media. Look at my highlight reels.
yeah,
Thus, again, we get back to what we started in the beginning, which was, why we're having so many mental health issues these days.
yeah.
So you have to have that respect. And that's something my parents taught me, dude. Like, in the beginning, earlier on, like hold respect above all else, but people always want to hold respect for themselves
Mm,
without respecting themselves. They want other people to respect them, but then they don't respect themselves of who they are 100% of the time. Right.
yeah.
So they try and hide that and they still demand respect. And that's bullshit. Right. You have to be able to be you 100% of the time on and offline. And that's what you're doing. And that's why you will shine. And that's why you already realize like take what you can find and then be able to find that unique angle and dude, brother, you're doing that. Like I love our conversation today. I'm having a
Yeah.
blast.
No, it's definitely a good time. I hope I don't change your perspective or opinion of this conversation, but I will ask a curveball question that I
Let's do it.
love asking because it's just super fun. If you can get one message in front of every single founder in the entire world, just unlimited budget ad campaign with guaranteed delivery to every single founder in the entire world, what would that message be?
Most people are trying to be able to, how do I get a client? How do I how do I show up more? How do I go through there? And they're not trying to be the answer to the problem that someone
Mm,
has. And so you have to, and in today's world of this answer engine optimization where AI is going, there's only going to be one answer. So how are you going to be the answer? And that's what we spend all of our time, energy, and effort helping people be able to become that. How do you become the answer for your specific audience? Honestly, too, like I've been doing this for 25 years. I've done a lot of times where I took people's money because I could and they weren't a right fit. And it sucked for everybody. I want to make sure I'm the right answer to the right person at the right time. And so when you are the answer, that's where we want to go. So like if I had an unlimited budget, be the answer is what I want everyone to think for. Whatever scenario it is that you need to show up in, I want you to be the answer for that specific right scenario in life and in business because it's that's the world we're moving into, and I don't think people are paying attention. They're trying to be able to figure out how to stay ahead of the curve, how to be able to keep up with the Joneses, how to be able to figure out all this AI rather than what the main thing is. If you go back to what we talked about, understanding who you are, what you stand for, your personal brand, who you serve, the words you say, that allows you to be the answer.
3 words, but it really does go so deep when you start trying to zoom in and peel back the layers. I mean, it applies to everything, and I love how you simultaneously covered the way to show up as your best self, but also the future, and this is how it's gonna evolve, and it'll continue to be that through line, and it's rare that something, they exist, of course, but it's rare that something just carries weight forever, and like you said, in an evergreen way, and I think "Be the Answer" is just that powerful that it
For the
will.
things that I've been doing right now, we've been doing LinkedIn for over a decade and I haven't changed. I don't have to, I've been doing this almost exactly the same stuff that I've been doing on LinkedIn. I started 10 years ago. I'm doing now. And I don't have to keep on changing and flipping around because again, I figured that out. I mean, honestly, the things that I do now, this is the things that my mom taught me how to treat other human beings. I'm just doing it online. It's not rocket science. We're just going back to the basics, back to our humanity. And I think that's what AI is going to allow us to be able to do better than ever. Because, like you said, all these other tasks that we can do, that we can do, that's not the question anymore, right? Can we do it? Yes. At, in this right now in today's world, honestly, can we? Can I do this? 99% of the time because of AI? The answer is yes. The question we should be asking is, should we do it? And leaders aren't asking that enough. And we're not asking that enough of ourselves. And that's just not just about what you should build, but what you should be doing on a daily basis. There's a lot of things that AI can do for you, but you have to understand, should I or should I not be doing that? And can I be able to use this in a way that allow me to be able to stay in my zone of genius? And that'll not only be able to help this world, not be able to help our families, but be able to help our mental health, all those different things. When you are in your zone, dude, life gets fun. And that's what I want for everybody, right? A good friend of mine, Joe Polish, who runs Genius Network, his basic thing is keep it elf, easy, lucrative, and fun. And that's what I think that we have the opportunity if we actually understand who we are, what we do, what we serve, and who we don't. and be polarizing in this world in a good way that it really pushes people to add value. I don't, there's not polarizing the worst way, but all at the same time, people are scared to be polarizing, right? They want to be neutral. And in this world, as founders, everyone listening, if you are not polarizing in the right ways, you are wasting time because again, that is the one resource we don't get back. And because again, people make decisions based on some degree of love or hate. If they are indifferent to the content, they are indifferent to your message, they are indifferent to your offer, you're wasting not only their time, you're wasting your own. That's it.
If you're not doing that, you're not keeping it elf, and that is just wrong. I love that. I will definitely be using that in my life.
Yeah, bro.
Joshua, this has been such an awesome conversation. I've really
Thank you.
enjoyed it. I think there's so much value here. It's funny we were talking about like evergreen master classes. I feel like this is an episode that that people can come back to this like 5 years from now. It'll be just as relevant then as it is today. And I
Thank you,
think I
brother.
I really appreciate that because those are these like frameworks and mental models that people can just take with them and like they are tried and true and they have worked, they are working, and they will continue to work. And I think it's again, it's rare that you can find things like that and be able to pick them out. And I really appreciate you coming on and sharing the wisdom and opening the curtain and just giving us the insights that you've learned and are continuing to learn and to use in
Yeah.
practice.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it, y'all. And the one thing I would tell everyone to, the new thing that I mentioned, Philip, Youmanize, it's what we're launching. Please check it out. I think it's going to be amazing. Everyone can go to Youmanize, Youmanize.ai, and it's crazy to be able to see how you show up. I mean, I push everyone to go in there and check it out and, see what your well, we try to call it a trust score. Lawyers were like, "You can't do that," but what your impact score is, right? Like, how you're showing up, how you're being perceived online, and how you can actually level that up, and it's not just for LinkedIn. I mean, we're covering everything, dude, and, like, I think it's gonna be something that's massively shifts people's perspective on how they feel they're showing up versus how they actually start showing up.
Yeah, and I'll definitely link that in the show notes, and I think I'm gonna go check it out right after this
Please, man.
call
I
as
love the
well.
feedback. Everyone, like, again, you as well, brother, like, send me like, "Dude, I like this," or, "You know what? This could be better because this is if I have this is my quote unquote swan song, right? This is my legacy play. And this is something that my wife and I, Rachel, really feel are gonna be able to leave onto this world, in this world of that we're drowning in AI at this point in time, that will actually empower the human beings behind it and still give without make sure that we're not lost in the shuffle.
I love that so much, and yeah, everybody, please go check it out. I'm gonna go dive into it. Joshua, thank you so much again for coming on. It's been
No
awesome.
worries. Thank you, my friend. Bye, everyone.